Using the three examples, we can see whether your users like your new feature. All these tests depend on your logic and depends on your data that you have. Now let's take a look at the data path and which specialists use this data and work with it. So first of all, your product needs to acquire and store the data. This could be posts, likes, login, logouts data, and purchases, and so on and so on. The more data you acquire, the better it is. So usually backend specialists deal with these issues. The next is the data filtration. You need to filter and analyze the data that you have and use some common features. This is what data scientists are here for. They usually are good at math and they can do programming as well. He can get more specific features from this raw data array. At this point, you can already sell this data for advertisers. However, we'll continue this path. Here, later on, we can add AI to find uncommon features, and it can forecast people's reaction towards the posts. So the results of the work will be understood by programmers. Therefore, the final stage will be business analysts. So he turns this programming and math terms into the management language. Such specialist doesn't directly deal with analysis. He usually thinks how can you apply data in order to benefit the company. And this is just minimum amount of specialists that deal with our data. We also have data architect and data analysts. And yeah, there are many more, but we'll talk about it next time. It's not difficult to tell that data analysis is in between marketing, programming, and mathematics. The better you deal with the skills will determine you as a specialist. Data specialist is a highly paid profession. But yeah, what shall I start with? First of all, you should start by choosing a programming language. So let's look at the candidates list. So C++ is probably the most difficult one. So it features high computing power and high speed of the programs. Therefore, it could be quite difficult for a beginner to deal with it. R is the main competitor for Python in today's world because it's also relatively easy and easy to interpret. R is not as flexible as Python. However, if it comes to data analysis, it's one of the best. R language is developed from status for status. You have already got the tests and graph analysis. And yeah, we got Python. Python is probably the most common language when you talk about machine learning. For example, Google or Nvidia made a huge bet on this one. They issued large libraries to work with artificial intelligence based on this language. Python is the best and the most common language in order to build machine learning algorithms and models. Data scientists created the best features in order to apply this language, and therefore in this stage we will take a closer look at Python. First of all, let's look at the positive features. In Python we use quite logical and structural syntax. That's why it's easy to code. So the process of coding is similar to writing an instruction in English language. In order to solve some difficult issues, there are already code written, and just the main question is to apply it. And there are a lot of packages that can help you to realize difficult algorithms in Python. So therefore you don't need to write code from zero. And there is also cross platforms, which can help you to set your code in different platforms. So for example, Windows, Linux, Mac, and so on. There is a huge community which can give you the most updated information about this language, especially if you have some mistakes. And the most important is Python has a lot of different libraries. So in the beginning of creation of this language, a lot of scientists adopted Python because it is really easy to use and you can work with a lot of data using Python. And after several libraries came out, it became the most popular data analysis platform. So what is the library? A library is a set of features which it was created by large companies or by some Python enthusiasts. So that's the main unique feature of Python. There are a lot of libraries which are free. So if you want to create a game, make a Telegram bot, or create something else, there is a library available that you can use for it. So other lecturers will give more specific information, and I will just provide the main libraries. So let's start with Pandas. It is the largest library to set up big data. It can sort, unite, and create new big data arrays in several lines. The second one is matplotlib. It's probably the most famous feature to create graphs in Python. Skiplearn is one of the first machine learning libraries. It was designed by Google in 2007 and create a lot of attention to artificial intelligence. It's really easy as a starting point for beginners. It has several data packages, several machine learning models, and also neural networks. Then number 4, Keras, started as a alone standing library, but in the process it became TensorFlow. But then it became more powerful because in order to find some dependencies, you also need to apply machine learning. So if you're just starting, I bet that your first library will be Keras. So it really helps to create simple models, and for example, if you want to create a neural network, it can be done using a couple of lines of code. So what would be the outcome of my story? Companies are interested in data because it creates a lot of value. Therefore, they're interested in the source of this data. Also, they're interested in specialists who can deal with this data. In order to become great specialists, you need to deal with mathematics, economics, and machine learning. So Python is still the leader because it has so many free libraries. And there is still huge lack of good specialists. Therefore, you should take this opportunity.